What's going on, Bengals fans? Chris Daughtery back with you guys here for another edition of Bengals Breakdown. It is finally time to talk about this Week 13 AFC North matchup, Thanksgiving night matchup between your Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. As of right now, I've kind of seen this spread kind of bouncing back and forth with some of the injury news that we're going to talk about here on today's show. But as of right now, the Ravens are a 7-point favorite in this ball game this weekend, and it could be a very big game this weekend because when you look at the AFC North standings right now, look, I know a lot of us think at this point the season is probably over, but still looking at it, you're only 3 games behind first place right now with the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers right there at 1 and 2. You still have to play Baltimore 2 more times this season, and as we'll get into in just a second, some big-time injury news could impact the way this game ends up shaking out. So before we get into all that here, I need you guys, if you want to beat the Ravens, get down there and like today's video. I know there's, some part of the fan base out there, and myself at some points included, where, look, there's some games where you're just like, why are we trying to win this game? Let's just tank to get a higher draft pick. But look, this is a big-time AFC North battle between the Bengals and the Ravens. F the Ravens. Like today's video if you want to win this ball game this weekend. All right, so like I said, some big-time injury news in regards to both Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow in this game this weekend. Lamar Jackson's been dealing with a lot of things since Week 4, a hamstring from Week 4 to Week 9, a knee in Week 11, a ankle in Week 12, and now the most recent injury for him is a toe injury. And there has been a trend over the past couple of weeks here where, he misses the first day of practice, but then continues to be a full participant the next couple days of practice. He missed on Monday. He was a full participant today in Ravens practice. He missed weeks 5 through 8 with that hamstring injury. And I hit up our guy, Joey Peterson, over at Ravens Rundown. I was like, hey, what's been the vibe here with Lamar over the past couple weeks since he came back from that hamstring injury? And I'm just quoting him straight up here. He said he's been a shell of himself since he's come back over the last couple of games. You can see it right here. That's not really vintage Lamar Jackson. Whether it's, passing the football or running the football, it's not really what, he's not putting up the same type of numbers that he normally does, especially, with a lot of those injuries being, lower body injuries, hamstring, knee, ankle, toe. It's really been affecting the way that he moves outside the pocket. And, a big trademark for Lamar Jackson is his legs, and he just frankly has not been able to take advantage of that. But look, this Ravens team, despite all of that, despite Joey Peterson saying that, he's kind of a shell of himself right now, over the last 5 games, they have won every single game here, going against the Bears, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Browns, the Jets. They've won every single one of those games, and really, the NFL is weird this year. We talked about it with the Patriots last week. Kind of the same thing with the Ravens this week. The competition just, you can't really say it's the hardest schedule out there. The Vikings is probably the toughest game in that stretch. And even the Vikings, with J.J. McCarthy, kind of being banged up here. He's hurt again. It's been kind of an easy schedule for a lot of teams out there so far this year. So we'll see if the Bengals are, able to keep Lamar Jackson in check for this game on Thanksgiving. But like I said, with those injuries, it might actually help that Bengals defense when you talk about, scrambling quarterbacks being an issue, just tackling in general being an issue for this Bengals defense. All right, spread the hate down in the comments section. Spam your F Baltimores down in the comments section. The most comments that we get on this video, just from a single person, whoever comments the most is going to get a free entry into our Bengals pennant flag raffle. I guess pennant flag, that's kind of redundant there. Our Bengals pennant raffle, going to be giving it away on Thanksgiving night. So make sure you guys join us for our watch party as well. But get down to the comments and spam your F Baltimores and spread the hate for me right now. All right, so we'll go to some Bengals injuries here. We touched on these yesterday, so not going to go too far in depth on these. T. Higgins, he's going to be out with a concussion. Trey Hendrickson is going to be out for, the 4th game, what ends up being the 5th week with that bye week in a row with that hip injury. And Taj Brooks also suffered a concussion in that game the other day. So the Bengals are kind of light right now in terms of their running back situation, but it does seem like Samaje Perine is feeling a little bit better now. I think he was a full participant in yesterday's practice, so we'll continue to follow that. I'm sure I'll put the injury report out here over the next couple of days for you guys as well. But the big-time news right now for the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow today during his press conference confirmed that he will be starting on Thanksgiving night versus the Baltimore Ravens. We all know he's missed the past 9 games with that turf toe injury, had to have surgery. Really the move that, kind of solidified Joe Burrow, officially returning, besides him today confirming it during his press conference, was yesterday. The Bengals ended up waiving quarterback Sean Clifford, to make room for Joe Burrow on the Bengals 53-man roster. And right after that news came out, Joe Burrow posted this photo on his Instagram story, which, it's just absolutely hilarious. That is, vintage Joe Burrow right there, just being a goofball, saying he's back. So Joe Burrow now is officially back. And I know, I have brought it up. I know a lot of you guys have brought it up. Why is Joe Burrow coming back at this point of the season? You're 3-8. It seems like the season is lost. He was asked about that specifically in his press conference today, about the outside noise kind of being a factor and what he thinks about that. He said, you look at it from my perspective. I'm a football player. If I get hurt, I'm going to go through the rehab process, and then I'm going to let everybody know when I can play. I will not ever go to somebody and say, yeah, I am healthy, but I'm not going to go out there and play. I am never going to live my life being scared that something may happen. Now, I get that, but that's not really the point. Really, it comes back to you want to get a better draft pick at the end of the day. But, credit to Joe Burrow. He is a competitor, and he is the leader of this Bengals ball club right now. And I'll be honest with you guys. You know how I felt about it. I've talked about it a lot here on the channel. I'm going to change my tune when talking about Joe Burrow returning at this point. I'm going to stop wondering why the Bengals are bringing Joe Burrow back at this point in the season. I'm just going to embrace it. F it. We ball at this point. Are you really, out of the playoff hunt at this point? Maybe, most likely, but technically you're only 3 games back. You have 6 games left in the schedule, and, you do play the Baltimore Ravens twice in those 6 games. So, with Joe Burrow coming back, we just have to move forward at this point. This is totally on me as well. I am totally a part of this crowd. We just have to move forward. At the end of the day, what's the difference in the Bengals picking at number 8 or at number 18? There's a solid chance that whoever they pick in the NFL draft, we're probably not going to end up liking their pick anyway. So, you might as well just go out there and try to beat the Ravens twice in this process. And if somehow you win out and somehow you win the AFC North, the season would at least get more exciting for Bengals fans with Joe Burrow out there winning a couple of football games. So at this point, F it. Let's go kick the Ravens' ass in Baltimore on Thursday night. All right, we'll come back here in just a second with some more Bengals versus Ravens breakdown here. But first, we want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show. That is Omaha Steaks. Whether you're sending an unforgettable gift or treating yourself to everyday perfection, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. You guys can gift USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort meals, and so much more. And right now, during their cyber sale, you guys can get 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites at omahasteaks.com. And don't miss the best deals of the season and exclusive limited time offers. Plus, our listeners here at Bengals Breakdown get an additional $35 off just by using promo code Bengals at checkout. Terms apply, and you can see that website for extra details. But I know for a fact, I know this because I've already done it actually, some of my relatives, some of my in-laws are going to be receiving a couple bundles here from Omaha Steaks during the holiday season. You guys can see one of the examples of the bundles on Omaha Steaks right now. You get the 50% off site-wide during the cyber sale right now. You use that promo code Bengals, you get an additional $35 off. So you can get sirloins, you can get pork chops, burgers, franks, fries. You can get a ton of things. They've even got desserts, apple tartlets. They've got their own seasonings as well. So you can get all of that with a Classics favorite assortment right now, under $100 by also using promo code Bengals at checkout. There's a ton of different types of bundles that you guys can choose from as well. They have a custom gift assortment that I really love where you can pick 7 different options. You don't necessarily have to choose the select bundles that they have. You could do the custom ones and choose those seven different options, and you could build your own bundle package. So take the stress out of gifting this holiday season and gift a handcrafted perfection is the kind of gift that brings people together, and you don't have to know anybody's size. That's the great thing. Don't get them clothes. Get them some meat here from Omaha Steaks. Save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks and visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide, an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale, and you guys here at Bengals Breakdown get an additional $35 off just by using promo code Bengals at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Promo code Bengals at checkout for that additional $35 off. Terms do apply. See that website for extra details, but that link is going to be down in the comments section and the description of today's video. All right, let's get into now what I want to see from this Bengals team here on Thanksgiving night against the Ravens. Number one, I want this offensive line just to continue to play well. I thought this past week versus the Patriots was probably as good as we have seen this Bengals offense play in a very, very long time. And, most of the normal guys were out there, but, instead of Jalen Rivers being out there at right guard, they actually inserted Dalton Reisner back into the lineup there at right guard. And this was the original, lineup when you go back to opening day against the Browns, where, the Bengals were actually doing a really good job running the football. And, they were also doing a really, really good job the other day protecting Joe Flacco as well. And that's going to be a big key in this game. You got to be able to protect Joe Burrow. And it also has helped out a guy like Chase Brown. Over the past 5 games, I believe it was, Chase Brown has recorded at least 100 yards in each game. You even look at that Bears game, what he was able to do wasn't necessarily the best game on the ground, but did also have 8 receptions for 75 yards in that game as well. Patriots had the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. He went 19 carries, 107 yards in that game as well. So if Chase Brown can continue to cook, that's also going to help out this Bengals offense against this Ravens defense, which, look, this Ravens defense is not as good as they have been in the past. In the past couple of years, they've been up there in the NFL in terms of the top defenses, and this year, you see right there, 19 in scoring offense, 20th in scoring defense, 20th in rushing defense, and 24th in passing defense. Insert Joe Burrow into that equation and a healthy offensive line, you might be able to score a lot of points in this game. So I need you guys to get down inside the comments section and predict the score to Bengals versus Ravens. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section of today's video. All right, what I want to see, number 2. Can the defense actually tackle Derrick Henry? This guy is a massive, massive human being, and the Bengals have had massive, massive problems getting the ball carrier on the ground. They still lead the NFL right now in missed tackles. This is updated after this past week's slate of the games. Bengals still lead right there, number 1 in the NFL in terms of missed tackles with 129. You got to be able to get Derrick Henry on the ground. Wrap him up, swarm tackle, get his big ass on the ground. You are not going to come up and just put a shoulder into Derrick Henry and knock him down. That is just one thing that is not going to happen. So, Jordan Battle, if you're listening, don't go up there and try to make a big hit on Derrick Henry. Wrap him up, wait for some of your other, help to join you on that. Just get him to the ground. That's all I'm asking the Bengals to do is try your best to wrap up the ball carrier and get him on the ground, and don't let him, go for extra yards after contact in this game. All right, what I want to see, number 3. Not trying to rhyme there, but it happened. I want to see the coverage improve a little bit. Now, I think this Bengals secondary has done a little bit of a better job at that. Cam Taylor-Britt, he's out of the lineup at this point. He's on IR, probably done for the season. And, I've said a lot this season. This defense just cannot cover running backs coming out of the backfield, and they really do struggle covering tight ends, especially when they're going over the middle of the field. You had guys like Hunter Henry went for 115 yards this past week against the Patriots. Austin Hooper did some really good things for the Patriots as well at that tight end spot. A lot of it going over to the center of the field. And what this Ravens offense has done this year, a lot of it has been going through Zay Flowers. He is by far and away the top receiver for this Ravens offense right now. Mark Andrews, tight end, a lot of people say he's cooked at this point. He can still hurt you. He can definitely still hurt you. And what you don't want to happen is a guy like, DeAndre Hopkins to go off in this game either. We'll still see what's the deal here with Rashad Bateman. He's kind of been a little bit banged up here the past couple of days here. I wonder too, Marco Wilson did not practice for the Bengals on Monday. I wonder if Jalen Davis is going to end up getting called back up off the practice squad again. I thought he had a good game the other day against the Patriots. He made some really good plays there. Dejon Anthony, by the way, he is a safety. He's not a corner, but still it factors into that, defensive back equation there. He's been a full participant over the past 2 weeks during practice, so there is also still a possibility there that Dejon Anthony could possibly see a return, possibly anyways this week for the Bengals, but we'll see on that. Now, we will be live on Thanksgiving for Bengals versus Ravens, so come hang out with us during our watch party. Like I said, going to be giving away that Bengals pennant, and any updates on the injury front, we will also put updates out there for you guys as well. So do not miss out. Stay up to date on all things Bengals news. Hit that sub button and join the community here at Bengals Breakdown.